Okay, I talked to you about every winter or school year or so on, where they had either literary or school programs or so on. Well, after the programs, why they had a box supper. Now, I never was very fond of the box suppers, but anyway, the women would decorate a box and put a meal in it. And Mother got really good about making these boxes. She made me a real nice one when the 4-H sponsored one once, and it was in the shape of a 4-leaf clover. And she made Betty a little pink piano, and I can't remember the rest of them, but some of them were really, really fancy. And they would either bring a pie, you could bring a pie if you wanted to, and they would auction these off. The men would bid on them, the women would fix a dinner in there, and of course they put all the goodies they could think of in there. I mean, they went from angel food cake to fried chicken and sandwiches, and some of these boxes would bring, at this time, they'd bring $15 or $18, especially if you didn't know whose you were buying. And of course, us that took the boxes were sitting there holding our breath, wondering who we were going to eat with. And you weren't supposed to tell anybody who which was your box. And I'm sure most of the husbands and wives did. And if they took a pie, why, they'd eat pie. And even little kids, and they had them kind of off separate, but anybody from 12 years on up, they had their auction, and it was auctioned off, like I say, you didn't know who you were going to eat with. And sometimes, especially if somebody tried to buy a box that they thought that a boyfriend was going to buy his girls, that they'd run them up just pretty blamed high before they got them, and you'd eat together. Either find a desk or a bench to sit on and eat, and sometimes they ate out in the car. Lots of times when there was a couple and they had little kids, they'd eat out in the car. But it was kind of dark out there in the car, and all you had was the dome light on the car, and this got to be quite a fad. I'll have to tell you the one about the last one. Well, when I was in 4-H, Marguerite told Martin which one was mine, so that worked out all right. And I can't ever remember getting any. Dad bought mine one year, and the year that I was teaching at Rulton, after the Christmas program, they had one, but they done it different. I think they charged each fella a flat fee, and then the women, we lined up in one classroom, and the door was shut, and the men were on the outside, and then you'd go out a couple, and whoever you met on the other side of the door was your partner, and then you'd have to go over and pick out your box and eat with this partner. Well, Kenny didn't know anybody, and I knew very few of them. And so first we thought they were going to auction them off, and so that worked all right. He knew what Mother made me a box to take, and I don't even remember what it was. But I found out ahead of time that they didn't do that way at that school. They lined up, like I say, one on one side, one on the other. So he said, well, I tell you what, you be the first one out the door, and I'll be the first one out the door. And so we agreed to do that. Well, he got to the front of the line, and I started to, but I think somebody might have had an idea what was going on, because this lady said, the school board's wives will line up first. And so instead of being first, I was third. And you can imagine how surprised Kenny was when somebody strange walked out there. And anyway, it worked out all right. And my partner did happen to be one of the school board members. And his kids had been in a different 4-H club, so I didn't really know him, but I knew a little bit about him. So it worked out all right.
Some Sunday morning we'll walk down the aisle.
You'll be so nervous, and I'll try to smile.